From G0MJW and the BATC Net. Over.
Right, are we there? We are. Fantastic. Well, good evening everybody. It's been a few weeks since I've been on the air. Slightly above the beacon, but I won't tell them if you don't. Yeah, I've had a few weeks of fun and games here. Finally got the HD camera working about 10 minutes ago, so that's a bonus. If I suddenly disappear, then the battery's gone flat. Unfortunately, if for whatever reason, it won't run off an external USB power source without deciding it wants to charge the batteries. So I need to work out how to make that work. But yeah, by comparison to the standard definition, which looks a bit like that, I think you'll agree. It's a bit of a difference. Anyway, so what I've been up to, the dish actuator jack died last week, so I couldn't move the receive dish to keep that on station, as it does tend to move a little bit in the wind. So that was removed earlier this week and brought into the shack. It turned out the motor was rather knackered, and it turned out to the commutator, the carbon brushes had become so concave they were shorting, not well, they were connecting to the copper plate they should have been, but also the one before and the one after. Anyway, got that working again, and that's now okay. But in working on that, I've discovered that the vertical axis is slightly out, as indeed is the main transmitter dish. The receive dish is at 1.2 metre and the transmit's 1.6. They're not wildly out, they're just a little bit out. Last week I planned to be on the net, and as luck would have it, I thought, oh look, there's an update, and clicked the button. I really wish I hadn't. It trashed the installation so spectacularly the SD card is in the bin. I have no idea what happened, and it also took the integrity of the Pluto with it, so I had to reload the Pluto firmware, as well as reload the ports down. However, it did fix a problem I've had for a long time, which randomly you go to PTT, and the PTT line I used to fire stages just occasionally will click on then click off again. Well, since the reload, that's stopped, which is really good. As I said, got an HD camera now, and also treated myself to another HD camera to go out and do some recording. So hopefully in due course, maybe next summer, we'll get some recordings of Medigissy for you. Yeah, I like most people, I use FFmpeg to shove the stream around the shack to the transmitter. And yesterday I decided that enough was enough, and I bought myself one of these hardware H.265 encoders. So that'll be my next task, is to do a bit of 265. So that's all from the MNJ shack. All's well other than that. The microphone used to go through all sorts of radio links and rubbish, but today it's just plugged in, so hopefully the audio's been fine. Anyway, I'll pass it around to the next person. I did look at the screen to find out who it was. I'm sure they know who they are.
Right, okay then. Oh, hello. What happened there? I think my... here we are. Yeah, my receiver jumped. My receiver jumped somewhere else. There we are. Anyway, we're okay because we get a picture in a minute. There we go. Right, very good evening to you all. It's been a busy week. Not in the shack, unfortunately. One thing and another. I knew it was going to be various domestic things to deal with. So I won't bore you with all those details. And it's also time for the van's MOT, ATV van's MOT. So I've been preparing that to try and squeeze it through another year. I really hope that, really hope we can, because mainly because it's the only vehicle I've got. So I need to go to work in, really. So I'm hoping that will be okay. That's on Monday. So there will either be a party or a wake, depending on the results. But I've done everything I can. I've spent a lot of money on it. So, but you never know, do you? You just never know with an MOT how it's going to work out. Oh, Wolfgang, yeah, I just see on this SQ chat, no results on the variant. Okay, I'll show that actually, because somebody might know. I was looking at some duplexes on SQ in the week, and when I come to put the thing back in, I found something in a drawer, and I can't remember quite what it is. And so this is the device here. So I just as well pick everyone's brains. But 24 volt DC on an SMB for the power, ends either side, and it's it's very shiny. Made by Varian, solid state amplifier, and the number of it is VSL 7445HR. VSL 7445HR. If anyone knows what it is, then that will be most useful. I had in my mind that it might be something 10 gigs, but then it might not be. It could be anything. I don't remember. I don't remember whether I think I pulled it out of something, but whether it's useful or not, I don't know. It does appear to be unmolested. It does appear to be unmolested because the seal is not broken. But if anyone recognises such a device, then let me know. But made in California. I've seen another one on the net or internet from a different place in California, but again, no description of what it is. But not absolutely. It might be something useful. You see, it might be something useful, and then again, it might not. So there we go. I'm looking at the wrong chat. Yeah. The 7.4 gigahertz model number, is it? That's what that means, is it? See, this is the information I was hoping to glean. Thank you, Paul. So that's okay. That's that's not a particularly useful frequency. But nonetheless, I don't. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh, there we are. Oh, yes. They've got one on there. Thank you, Paul. Yes, they have got one on there. But I didn't see any information. That's as far as I got, unfortunately. But I didn't see any information listed on there. So that's that. What else have we made? I think since I've been on air, since I've been on the net, I've built a couple of driver amplifiers. You're over there, aren't you? A couple of driver amplifiers from my mini kits modules. They're yet to be tested, but I've never had one that hasn't worked. But they're in the to be tested pile, as are several other projects at the moment. So that's that. That's probably enough for me. There's a few on. I didn't see him on the list, but I did see Rob did put a signal up earlier, which was very good. Let me see. What I didn't record is there we are. Oh, okay. It's going to G0DQH next. So stand by because I'll be disappearing soon. Okay. Oh, hang on. And let's just have a, hang on. Did I change? Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong chat. That's not helpful, is it? Oh, there you are. You've put it on there again. Okay. All right. Okay. There we go. Right. Yeah. G0DQH to take it. G4KLB has lost his mouse. There we are.
Okay, just check I've got audio. Yep. Excuse me. Yep. Just swap over to the other camera. Here we go. I asked Mo today, she was in Winchester, so she popped into Poundland and she got these, if anyone's interested. Pop them in the front of the camera. And there we go, it's a pen, touchscreen pen, for £1. And the smaller one, which is telescopic eye, is for the mobile phone. Now I've been using mine for a very long time, and I'll just swap over to the other camera a second. If I can find, that's the one there. Yep. And as you can see, my screen is quite small, so I do actually need this for the touch screen. I'll give you an idea of the size of the pen. It's got a little rubber bit on the end that you can actually touch the screen with. And this tonight is because at work I must change about 2 touch screens a week, and it's usually because people use screwdrivers instead of the proper tool, which is supplied incidentally, and they're not cheap. These screens are a lot bigger than my tiny little thing I've got on my ports now. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you into that. So I suspect Poundland will be running out of pens now. But anyway, that's basically what I wanted to show tonight. And I got Maureen to especially go into Poundland in Winchester to get that today. So that's just about it from me tonight. I won't be back the second time if you don't mind. And who else is on the list? Let's have a look. G3XAT. Would you like to take it from G0DQH in Chandler's Ford, about 5 miles north of Southampton, between Southampton and Winchester. I'll see you all next week.
Well, good evening, everybody. Just make sure we've got some audio. Oh, good evening, everybody. Right, that seems to be working okay. Very nice to see quite a lot of people on this evening, so I'll keep this reasonably short. Last week, I told you something about the workshop down in the cellar, and a bit of CNC milling, which we had problems with the presentation, but I think we got there in the end. The one thing I forgot to show you right at the end of the show was the finished object, which was a bit of a pity. But I'll show you that later if it comes around again. One of the things I asked a couple of weeks ago that I'm trying to get going on DATV on 23 SEMS for a terrestrial link, and I'm having problems getting enough drive out of the Pluto to produce a few watts for the aerial. I've built the G4 BAO amplifier, and to drive that, I've built the G4 BAO driver amplifier, which is that one, which I'm sure you're lots of you will be well familiar with that. But I still couldn't, with just the two of them, there still wasn't enough oomph. So thank you, Mike, for the suggestion of going to AliExpress. I got one of their little units, taken the heat sink off, cut it down to size a bit. It was a bit too large, and today I've been making rather a lot of swarf out of this aluminium block. So we now have cavities for the amplifiers. So we put the main amplifier in there, the little one goes in there, and the goes in there, and they all line up. So with a bit of luck, by next week maybe we should have 23 SEMS amplifier going, and I then have high hopes of exchanging pictures with G4XAT, who's the only local amateur, I think, that's within a reasonable RF line of sight. So that's enough from me. It now goes to Richard, I think, in Northern Ireland. Gi4DOH to take it, I think. This is G3IUZ down in deepest Somerset. Passing it over to you, Richard.
G3IUZ with the group. This is Gi4DOH, indeed in Northern Ireland, where it's cold and wet and all the rest, but that's the way it is. Actually, I'll be in Luton on Saturday afternoon, flying back Sunday night, just going over to see, well, actually see both daughters while I'm there. So, Roger, that was a fine piece of engineering, and while I'm quite happy to play around with 3D printers and the rest, I haven't quite got round to milling or anything like that. Maybe someday. And of course, the main reason why I want to be able to do something like that would be able to, or to be able to make boxes such as you've done. But that looks like a piece of par excellence. You know, sort of. It's not beginner stuff. It was quite fascinating last week to watch all your stuff that you do there. I think I said last week that I wasn't going to be here this week. I got confused as I do. The deadline for today was to get the club magazine out, which I have duly done. It's next Thursday is the club meeting, so I'll be skipping next week. Don, you see you're on the side there. You should have got your magazine, my usual waffle. And just just out of spite, they made me chairman as well as magazine editor. So all the more to do. Paul, you commented about last week having issues with updates. It was a fine dividing or difficult decision tonight when OBS wanted to do an update. I thought, shall I or shan't I? Knowing the chance of things falling apart, but it did actually, it just took about a minute or so, and as far as I know, everything's okay. I don't see any comments there to say that I haven't got video or audio or anything. So it's been like Christmas here. The postman's been busy every day, being sort of intrigued by this. because these, if it'll focus, are supposedly yellow LEDs, and they might well be, but it sort of goes against the grey, and I'm sort of used to green LEDs being green and red LEDs being yellow, or sorry, red LEDs being red. They say yellow, but they're translucent. I haven't got as far as lighting one up yet, but that's because I'm working on this Portstein 4. As usual, trying to squeeze too many things into too small a box. So that's why I have a run on LEDs. And I actually want the yellow LED for the arm light for the shutdown switch. Just a little yellow indicator that the thing is armed and ready to be shut down should I wish to do so. So enough for me for this round. I'll pass it round to the order's been changed. One of the things, Gareth, excellent chilies. I was really surprised. Only wanted one or two. Didn't expect a whole box full, and they are excellent. I've tried both the orange ones and the yellow ones, and I'm still here to tell the tale. So thank you very much for that. Pass it on round to you, Martin. G4XAT with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Right, G4FKK. Let's do that. Sorry about the breathlessness. I got called away during Colin's over, so I saw about half of your. Well, I imagine it was about half of your over, Colin. And actually, that camera's a bit annoying, isn't it? Let's do that one instead. So I'm afraid I missed everyone in between Colin, and I just caught the end of your over there, Richard. Hopefully I won't get called away again, but you never know. It's very hectic here these days. Anyway, very good evening to everybody. Thanks for letting me on mic. Seems to be running smoothly, what I've seen of it, so looks like you're coping very well. Gareth, okay about your split cog and the rotators there. So I've got a couple of those rotators. Only the left-hand one, the azimuth one, is actually connected to a rotator. The elevation one, I will do something with that fairly soon, I hope. Paul, good to see you on G0MJW. Haven't seen you for a very long time. And let's hope you get the tracking devices for you. And okay, on the HD cameras. Yeah, talking of cameras, one of these arrived this morning, Mike. Is that the right one? Yeah. So they're much bigger than I thought. They look quite small on your. Well, probably because it's in your massive shack. But quite big. I need to get one of those multi-way connectors and some sort of information on which pin goes where. But I imagine it's somewhere on Tinternet. And Colin, I hope your van gets through the MOT. We had a bit of a triumph today. My wife, who uses her car for work and that sort of thing, managed to get some petrol today. She had to queue for an hour for it. But since she was very nearly running on fumes, I had to lend her my little, very small jerry can of lawnmower petrol, just in case she ran out waiting for petrol. Anyway, she got some, so that's great. Right, so apologies to you, Colin, for only seeing half your over, and James and Roger. And you, Richard, for hardly. Well, I didn't see any of James and Roger's, but I saw a bit at the end, bit of yours. And yeah, the Gareth XAT chilies are absolutely superb. We had some of those. Had the last of the pepper peach yesterday, Gareth. So very nice too. Right, so I think it's round to Noel next. Last time I looked at the list, there's a new list popped up. Yes, round to you, Noel. Oh, and Gunter's going to come on tonight as well, so that's very good. And Rob, Nigel, so it's all looking good. So I'll shut up. G0MJW with the group, G4XAT standing by. Cheerio.
Okay. There we go. Right. Evening all. Right. What's the racket, you say? So the racket you can hear is 122 gigahertz, and I'll come on and talk about it later. But that's the noise you can hear in the background. I'll just go and turn it down. But that's 122 gigahertz from a local beacon. Stand by. I can't stand the racket even if you can. Right. So good. Yeah, sorry about the delay in coming on. I forgot to start FFM peg. It does help, you know. Right. Interesting net. Lovely machining. You know, heavens, I wish I could do that sort of stuff. But what I have been doing this week, on Monday, Dave FRE and I went out and played some microwaves, and this is 47 gigs. What's going on? Where's my audio? Let's crank it up a bit. This is 47 gigs from actually from Birdlip, and Dave and I did some 47 and 76 gig microwave tests. Worked 75 kilometers on 47 gigs, which quite pleased about. TV 76 gigs refused to go. It was probably a bit too far. So, but we did work narrowband, and when I got back, I thought, better get on and do some other stuff, as there is actually a 122 gigahertz contest coming up in 10. So I've been playing around with 10 gigahertz, and the racket you heard earlier was my local little beacon, which is this device here, which if I do that, you'll cut that audio. Here is a synthesized generator which runs at 11 gigs, and it's hitting a microwave diode which is on the end of the semi-rigid coax you can see poking through the base of the WD-40 can, and so that little diode hanging on the big of the end of the semi-rigid is being hit with 11 gigs and producing 122 gigahertz. So that's what was producing it. And then on receive, so that's my test beacon. It's remarkably easy to generate microwave signals. And then on receive, my 122 gig system. I've been playing around primarily with dish feeds, and this here is, you can see it in the background of my shot, but down here, and what I've been particularly playing around is with the actual feed that you can see in the centre of the dish here. And so the transverter itself is on the back of the dish. I can zoom in. Transverter is very, very simple. It's one of the VK projects based on car collision radar. It sits in there, and just in here you'll see there's a 4mm copper tube with 2mm inside diameter, which acts as waveguide, and that goes through some wonderful 3D printing done for me by Gareth, G4XAT, which holds the 4mm copper pipe, and then there's the Cassegrain feed. The actual, so the signal comes up this tube here, and there's a hole in the end, and I've been working on this little plate here, which actually turned out to be the base of I cut it out of the base of an aerosol can because it needs to be curved. And the theory is that the signal comes out of the waveguide, hits the reflector, illuminates the dish, and toddles off. How I found the focal point of the dish was whoops, should have done that. Was put a piece of paper in here, and you can set light to it if you point it at the sun. Really quite intense. So that's what we've been doing, and hopefully I've done 17 kilometres on 122 gigs on this system with a previous dish arrangement, and I hope to beat that with this. So that's what we've been doing. So there we are. That's the back of it. So that's what's going on here, and we'll put it round to Gunter, and if we got time later on, I'll show you some more pictures of the hills that I went to. Yes, I know that, Mike. I've been playing around with that as well, but there's just too many variables. There's actually the distance between the end of the waveguide and the subreflector, and the other variable is how far the tube goes into the transverter. But I think I've got that one sussed. So I'm playing around. I've got the beacon in the garden over about a 20 metre path, and yeah. So there we are, and the hills were in Gloucestershire. I had to travel an hour and a half for that one, Bernie. It was just over 1,000 feet. So, but as I said to John, G4BAO, you do actually have hills. You just have to travel a bit, just like I do. So you know, you got Barkway, and you got the Lincolnshire Wolds, and you got the hills at Leicester. Mr. BAO got a bit upset when I said that to him. Right, round to you, Gunter, and we'll show some pictures next time round. Delta 8 Golf Whiskey, Golf 8 Golf Tango Zulu on the BATC Net.
then. Forgotten how to do this. How's this done? Oh dear. Right. Evening everyone. Right. Yeah, I think we're all working. It's been a little while since I've been on here. Tonight I switched everything on and it just worked. So, no, it's just the usual frustrating thing, I think. But yeah, quite a long list, so I'll make it pretty short. Like in the middle box, Roger, that's looking really, really nice. I should get around to doing that more myself, but I just don't get around to doing it. So it has to be a special project for me to put that amount of effort in to get it working. But then again, I'll put a lot of effort into other things that aren't particularly productive as of today, but I'll leave that till later. Got some new toys in the shack. So now have, well, more gadgets really, but yeah, I've now got a resin 3D printer. I've been playing around with that for the last week or so. Had to build a fume cabinet to extract the fumes because it's pretty strong. Not because it's curing it, it's just the actual resin is really potent stuff. So even before it's cured. So been playing around with that a little bit. I'll show some more stuff to do with that later. But talking about making dishes and things, I've been trying to do that myself. So that was one of the dishes that I've been trying to make. It doesn't come out particularly well so far because it prints it that way up on the print bed. It looks like it's sticking to the bottom surface, the film, and I'm getting where it kind of like curls a bit on the bottom, so I'm not getting a perfectly smooth surface. So I'm still working on that. I'll probably have to put some different support on the back. There's loads of support material, but it seems to pull it too much, so you don't get that centre part is lovely. That's what it should be like all the way. But yeah, so that's what we're working on. So that's an offset dish as a kind of trial run for high frequencies, because I plan to make something that's about 4 times the size of that, that slots together as a reflector. So yeah, lots of failed prints kicking around. I've got one tested there that was the first one that I did, and you can see there's two raised areas on that one, but the actual surface is very smooth. So I put some sticky metal film on there, and that one seems to focus nicely optically, so should work pretty well. But I want the whole area. Don't just want that. But you can actually see on that one. See? Oh no, maybe not. Yeah, there. It's gone really thin at the point where it's failed. You can see my hand behind there, so there's quite a bit of light coming through. But you can see the point where it's failed has gone really thin, so it's sort of peeling as it's going up, lifting up and down as it builds the print up. So I've been working on that. Last week I picked up yet another dish positioner. Normally used for sorry, talking at the wrong microphone there. Apologies for the bet, but anyway, there is actually another positioner behind it, but forget about that one. This one's a data storm positioner. It comes with a controller, and you can kind of log in via a web interface on the controller to move it up, down, left and right, but that's about it. You can't track anything and things like that, but it has a there's a board on that which you can talk to via CAN bus and get information from extra information from sensors and position sensors and stuff like that, and a GPS and things. So I've been playing around trying to talk to that with a Raspberry Pi. That hasn't ended particularly well, but anyway. there we are. What else was we going to mention? Yeah, 122 gigs and all, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I need to do more on that, but not really getting onto as many projects as I would like. Seems to be a bit slow going, but I'm doing like 10 projects at the same time, all the time, so you never get anywhere. But there we go. And apologies, I can't remember who commented now, but the S, yeah, the S is actually upside down. I'll correct that for next time. I can't remember who commented now, but I measured it and there's about 3mm difference between the top gap on the S and the bottom gap on the S, like dimensional wise. So 3mm or 3 or 4mm, but you can see it. There we go. Anyway, I think we're round to Nigel now. Let's just make sure on that. Where's the list? Oh, missed it now. Anyway, I think it's round to you, Nigel. M0DTS in the BATC Net.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, did it come on? I've just lost it. Presuming I'm still transmitting. I'll carry on anyway. Good evening, yeah, to everybody. It's G0MJW joining the BATC Net. I've got more power this evening because I bought the bullet. I bought the bullet the other week, because I wasn't getting very much signal out of the 220 watts on Joseph Pye's eBay site. I decided to bite the bullet and ask Jim, forget your call sign Jim, but ask Jim to make me a decent, well, he does always decent stuff, but an amplifier, and it's done the trick. All I've got to do now is change the feeder cable and I'll be getting a little bit more. But give you a quick tour around the shack. Oh, it's come up now. Pre-built shack. When I get a OBS working and I know how to do it, I'll have a lot of transitions and videos to watch in the future. I'll go around again. That's a shack. Oh, it's come round back to the back. Oh, shack. Yeah, I do completely safe going round again. So, yeah, the shack's been built about 18 months now. It's about 8x10 or something, 8x8 or something, but it's purpose built. It had to be on the site of it. Wanted a section for the garden tools, so she's had 4 feet off the block I wanted. But I was trying to get more, but anyway, the boss won in the end. She needed a little shed for the garden tools, so I had to do as I'm told. So that's it for now, because I don't say too much, but I'm interested in listening to people. I know Martin G4 FKK gave me a link the other day when I was trying out the meet and going on to the OBS, using streaming OBS with BATC, etc. But it's a bit complicated, so if anybody can put me in a idiot proof guide on what to do, because with my mental issues I can't take it all in. But anyway, I'll not bore you with my problems. But yeah, so there's a quick one last thing, just turn it down. I was going to monitor the web chat with that telly, but now it says this page cannot be displayed, so I don't know what's going on there. BATC, it's some systems just stop it going when it's working. Anyway, that's enough for me for waffling on, because there's 1 or 2 on. So your reports, reports about my signal and if it's any losses or anything. But I'll drop carrier shortly. I do believe it's my Golf G0MJW. I think you're in the chair, Mike, because I think. Anyway, it's you next anyway, Mike, so I'm going to drop carrier key and you can explain, etc. 2088 and the BATC Net.
Excellent. Thank you, Nigel. And your signal is a huge improvement. What worries me now is that bit of coax you had that was quite lossy might start to melt on long overs. So definitely replace the coax. But that was really, really strong as everyone else. You can certainly go to 2/3 rather than 1/3 coding now because you are D7 with me. Very, very strong. So excellent. Well done. Good to see it working, and a nice shack as well. So that was good. Right, thanks for everybody who joined the net tonight. We'll go around again. Just got a few comments. I don't know if anyone's noticed the signals bouncing up and down on the web SDR. I assume that's bad weather in Cornwall, but we will see. And it was good to see Paul G0MJW again. So that's all working nicely. I think it was Gareth, was it, asking about the cogs for the rotator? I think CPC do them anyway, because I've bought gear wheels from CPC before, so that might be worth looking at. And I agree that the K3NG rotator controller is the way to go if you want to operate without any of those interfaces. It's very good and allows you to do all the things you would do and computer control it as well. Mystery amplifier from KLB. I suggest you test it, Colin. That's the usual thing to do. Find out what it does, and let's see what happens. Touch screens, yeah. Always worth having a one of those pens with a soft bit on the end of it for operating the touch screen, because it stops you damaging them or pushing them really hard until they break. And yes, amplifying the Pluto is definitely needed. Do check that eBay, AliExpress PA works, Roger, because some of them don't. Some of them are built incorrectly and need fixing before you fit them. But they should then deliver the goods. And that was an amazing looking CNC case that you've got for it. So yeah, looks like one of Bert's actually, Bert Moderman. I know he does something very similar. So excellent, looks really, really good. And Richard, chairman, that's good news, I think, unless it doesn't leave you with lots of extra work. But good to see. Martin, the Polycom, I've got one of the connectors. I'll show it in a minute, but I don't know the protocol for controlling it, and it seems that it's secret. So we have to work it out. If we can't work it out, we'll have to hack it in another way. But it should be a pretty good quality camera. 122 gigahertz Nell, we saw that on the Tuesday net. That looked really good then, and it looks really good now. You can have great fun moving around the shack and listening to the Doppler whilst you're doing that testing. And good to see you've got a resin printer, Rob. I've only got the normal PLA type ones, or ABS. So not tried that yet, but all good, and nice positioner as well. Right, just to show a couple of things. So bench camera has been repurposed to a different camera at the moment. It's one of the Sonys. I've got two of them, and you can see the Polycom there. And if I can get this to work a little bit, oops, you can see the connector from AliExpress. So they're definitely available. And if I then zoom in, hopefully, I've forgotten who was asking about this relay, but this is the relay I'm using for various projects to switch, transmit and receive. Made a little PCB, very, very simple, and put that on it with 3 SMA connectors. So that's what I'm using. Right, back to the other EasyCam to show you the bits of the shack which are doing things, and if all is working, which it wasn't earlier on, I should be able to control this one as well, and get it to do similar things, and zoom in on the Polycom again from a different angle to show you that. Yeah, very handy. These are the Sony cameras that we got from Malcolm. Very nice. And if I swing around a bit further, past the spectrum analyzer and then up a bit, oops, up too far, you should see the other Sony camera. And if I move it about, you can see it moving and doing things, which I better speed it up because it doesn't really show very much on that that setting, but it can move a good deal faster than that if you want it to, and quite a handy device to have. Right, okay, so before it says sorry Dave I can't do that, round the list again. I was going to say John JTT, but he said he wasn't going to come on, so round to G4XAT. Unless anyone else wants to join, of course, please say so in the chat and I'll add you into the list. So with that, 7-3 everybody, because I don't think we'll manage 2 rounds because we're already on the hour. But very good to see everybody. So round to G4XAT, G0MJW.
Right. Okay, thanks Mike from G4XAT to the BATC Net. Right, okay, let me see now. I ordered one of these development kits, which several of you are familiar with, I'm sure. Mainly because the 2 MRF devices are the bargain of the century. I just wondered, has anyone got a bomb parts list for 10 meters? If they could share that, would be great. No great rush, but I've got the bits and pieces to build that. Richard, I'm glad you got the chilies, and I'm glad you're on tonight. This is what they look like. Yeah, hello cat. Yeah, oh, you've been out in the rain, crikey. Alright, they're like a lot of the very, very, very hot chilies. They are sort of wrinkled and they look a bit sore. Probably like your body will end up as well. One wet cat. Here we are. Okay, I'll put the cat down and talk about something else. I've fitted one of these nice hardline N-type sockets to my triple biquad for 23 SEMS. I think I built this about 25 years ago to a design that almost certainly was in CQTV, but I haven't downloaded issues that go back that far just yet, so maybe one day. I'm thinking of building a double biquad to the designs that are available on the internet, and it specifies 2.3mm wire, which works out as single core 4mm squared. No, I wouldn't mistake those for carrots. You've got to be careful just picking the damn things up. I don't know how many you've eaten, Richard, but I've used them in very sparing amounts in hot sauces and chutney and stuff so far. I don't think I'd dare try any raw bits, not rare. Okay, I think that covers it. The tiny little tooth counts up as 14 tooth. I didn't think of looking in models, strangely enough, but these 10th scale RC cars seem to have a whole range of things that might well be suitable, and of course they are indeed in steel. and it's only to drive the dial, so it doesn't even have to do anything other than partially mesh, as long as it meshes. Okay, a 4-bay version. So what was that I showed? A 6-bay, I guess. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. G0MJW's design. Alright, you can handle Vindaloos. Yeah, I used to. Not this year. Alright, okay, thanks Mike. Yeah, there's a lot on the interweb about them, but there we are. Right, I'm waffling, so I'll shut it up and put it round to Paul, I think. Just chase up the call sign. Okay, G0MJW to take it from G4XAT in the net, and listening, and we'll come back if called. See you all.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. There's no obvious sign that MPEG had crashed. Just checking them. Yeah, well, that's working. Okay. Yeah, most peculiar. Sorry, I doubled with KLB. I thought I'd get the thing fixed and working quickly. Right, so then, picking up on some of the things. Somebody mentioned having enough petrol. Well, we've had an electric car for 5 years now, and only recently, in the past few weeks, replaced it with a brand new Nissan Leaf. And to say we're smug is an understatement. It's really rather nice driving past all these garage forecourts with queues and queues of cars, thinking, oh yes, well we'll top ours up when we get home. The mention of the hills reminded me that our local repeater GB3NQ, we've finished a very mammoth upgrade on it of late, which I'm pleased to say is all settled down and is working very well. We've got 3 Ryde receivers, one on 2 meters, one on 70 centimeters, and one on 23 centimeters. The output's on 23 centimeters digital, obviously, but so to keep the original users, the repeater, happy, it also will accept a 23 cm analog input and transmit analog too. So that's worked out quite well. We've recently acquired a 4-height 19-inch rack, so I suspect the next job for yours truly is to pull it out of the 2 racks it currently resides in and stick it in one great big rack and rewire it all, which I'm sure will give it even more reliability. Now, this is a plea. I have an Anritsu MS2651A 3 gig spectrum analyzer, which has served me really well, and of late, bless it, it's got a pulse running through, which initially I thought seems like a power supply problem. So I've replaced all the electrolytics and the power supply, and well, it didn't make any difference, which is a bit just depressing. Anyway, I've searched high and low and I cannot find any technical information on this spectrum analyzer, so if anybody knows anything about that, that would be fantastic. As I say, Anritsu Mike Sierra 26518. Moving on, yes, the weather down here tonight in Cornwall is windy and wet and horrible, which explains why you're seeing the signals bouncing up and down on the web monitor. It really is quite miserable down here. So, yeah, that explains it all. Right, well, it's my final. It's good to talk to you all this evening, and sorry about not coming on the air immediately. As soon as my hardware encoder arrives, the better, clearly. So, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him. 73s, one and all.
That was a very good picture, actually. Very good indeed. So no problems. Let me just turn my audio off. Nothing worse than hearing yourself coming back, is it really? It's a bit of a thing. And yeah, okay, on those rotator controllers, my rotator also came with that type of controller, but I swapped it out for this type here. So you can, maybe under this mass of wires, you can see this one is G400RC. I think there's just the RC on the back, so that's the one I'm using. So that's not been without problems. That's not been without problems. The mechanical bit that drives the dial is a bit of a pain. It's got a small belt on it, and I managed to run it for a year with an O-ring that was not quite the right size, but eventually that broke. But I did find that you can. I got in touch with Yaesu, who now do these. I think it was a different firm beforehand, but they took them over, and you can actually just order the belts from them with no problem at all. And so yeah, so she's been working it fine ever since, really. So that's very good indeed. I must get one of these cameras to move, and I've got some cameras, but previously I wasn't using OBS, and so it was less easy to get the signal into the system. But I am for this I use OBS, and I'm wondering, well, should I do the update? I saw the update pop up, but I was very busy and I didn't have time to do it, and that might have been a good thing. So should I decline this update or just go for it and then wrestle it all back together afterwards? I'm not quite sure. So that's the thing there. Okay, nothing really more to add, I don't think. Oh, did I have a? Yeah, that was it. That was all I put on my chart. What I'm looking for now, I've spent a little while looking. I'm not looking at the wrong camera. looking for something to pan and tilt a dish, in, say, like a 60 centimetre dish for portable use. So what I wanted was a fluid head. I can see, I forgot his call sign, it's VK something GHZ, I think, recommends this Miller type, but there's none about on this side of the world, and the ones that are cost a fortune. So you want something that's like for an old broadcast camera, that sort of thing, and something that can take a bit of weight. But you use a pan and tilt CCTV head, right? Yeah, I've been looking for them too. I haven't really found anything yet, but possibly I could have that on the top of the van then and move it around. That was the second idea, but obviously my small efforts on the 5 gig stuff, my lash up really wasn't any good at all. Many times we're using that tripod, I end up having to wedge things under the feet and everything. I did do a small mod to it, which worked all right, but it's not smooth enough. I found even with the Sky Mini dish, it was still quite pointy. Obviously, it'd be even worse on a 60 centimetre. So there we are. So the hunt continues for something like that. I've been trying to look every time I see someone with a dish what they're actually using. I had a look at Noel's one earlier. That looks, what we want is a fluid head would be nice, but that may not be possible or practical. But I thought I'd found one, and then they wanted $5,000 for it, and I thought I don't really want to spend much on it. So, I have got a beautiful tripod, and it seems a shame not to use it. So it's a bit of a hefty thing, mind, but you need something fairly substantial if you're going to stand on top of a hill with a dish. Otherwise it'll end up flat on the floor. That's the problem. Right, now I'm not sure if James, I call him Jim, but James for differentiating him from the other one, is coming back on or not. He did say something, I think, I can't remember. Let's assume he is, but if he isn't, then the next person obviously take it. I think that's probably enough for me because there's quite a few on tonight, so I'll make this an uncharacteristic short over. Although I do quite well on here most of the time, as far as overs. A normal KLB over is at least an hour. So okay then, 7.3's G4KLB.
Right. Well, if James isn't coming on, I hope that's okay. I'll cut. I think it's my turn. So first of all, OBS update. I did that this evening, perhaps rather rashly, just before we came on the air, and it went through absolutely fine. Took I guess just over a minute, couple of minutes at most, and no problem at all, and everything came back hunky-dory. So that's that. On the 23 SEMS amplifier that I was showing you, this board from AliExpress, Mike. Yes, I did. Before cutting metal, I did check it, and I was aware of your warning last time when you said some of the components may get swapped with for short circuits if they haven't got the right surface mount bit to hand. So I checked it with some trepidation, but it worked absolutely fine. I stuck it on the spectrum analyzer, and it's not bad at all, really. Bit lumpy in places, but fine for what I want. So yes, so I checked the chain, powered it all up, and I think if it all works when it's been put in its proper box, and that's always a big query, isn't it? Box it up and it almost certainly won't work. Anyway, so fingers crossed on that. One thing that Rob reminded me of, in connection with what I was talking about last week and the CNC that I was showing you. And someone said, surely you didn't cut metal straight away, you did some test pieces. And the answer is yes, of course, I certainly did quite a lot. One of the first things I did, having finally worked out all the details on CAD, I did a 3D print, and that, Rob, you reminded me of that. This is a resin print, because obviously with something of this complexity on both sides, there's no way you can produce that on an ordinary filament printer. So this is resin printed, and that was my first proof of concept, shall I say, that my drawings and the CAD interpretation of the drawings on Fusion 360 was going to produce, hopefully, something that would look correct and dimensionally was correct. I then checked the machining with just a gash bit of aluminium. I was particularly obviously concerned about making the correct aerofoil shape to the radial blades. This is, for those of you who didn't see this last week, this is for a gas turbine. And then I did actually do a prototype just on a gash bit of aluminium, because I didn't want to start machining on the special alloy for the actual diffuser for the gas turbine until I'd actually proved it. So this is the I don't think I changed the programming after I'd proved it out on this. So there we are. So yes, I've lots of bits and pieces before we had the temerity to actually cut the alloy. So there we are. That's me done. Thank you very much indeed for allowing me to join in again tonight. It's always good fun. Learn an awful lot. What a lot of combined wisdom. Now it goes to you, Richard, I think, in Northern Ireland, in G0MJW. This is G3XAT and the BATC Net. Over to you, Richard.
G3XAT with the BATC group, G4XAT. Thanks, Roger. Well, we've got to follow that up by saying, here's one that I prepared earlier. It's just a little holder for a line SDR Mini, and it's not overly complicated. It is really just a little platform that it sits on, because it has screw holes on the back or little pillars for it to sit on. The other end, there's nothing at the other end of a Lime SDR, no holes to put anything on. Go on, focus. Sort of hide behind it. So basically, it just sits on these with a little cap with a notch in it to hold it in place. And in fact, the purpose with that is the box for the ports down for in saving space. I'm just stacking things. So you got the Raspberry Pi, you got the GPIO board, and the line will sit on top of that. And that is the first thing that I have designed and printed. Probably 3D printer that worked first time. It was simplicity in itself, but actually it was actually right first time, and I'm quite chuffed with that. I migrated from Tinkercad to Fusion 360 fairly recently, so I'm still getting the grips with it, but I've got the foundation that I can build on what I'm doing. And again, what was you were saying about the G4BAO amplifier? Every home should have one of those, but nothing fancy like a milled box. Just the standard template box for that. And when I said it was like Christmas with a postman every day, I got this little thing. I'm sure many of you will have those. It's just a little RF meter.
Yep, fine, Richard. Well, I didn't lose you, so that's got to be good. And yeah, very good. I managed to catch everybody that time. Cheerio to you, Paul. I think you've gone, but if you are still listening, cheerio to you. I love the way, Noel, you say, oh, it's easy to generate microwave signals. And I think my problem is I have tried, and I'm never quite sure if they're actually there. So they might be there. Perhaps it's detecting them that's very difficult in my case, Noel. The first radio I ever did actually was 3 centimetres with a Nuffield physics kit when I was when I started secondary school. They were for some I think radar test was what you were supposed to use them for, but me and a friend set one up either side of the football field or the cricket pitch actually, and spoke to each other. Very entertaining. Yeah, Rob, your new toys look very good. I don't even know what a resin 3D printer is, but it sounds good. And it looks from what Roger was showing us that it's capable of a very fine detail. I guess that's the point of them, so that's good. Okay, about the dish position. Yeah, I could express there. I'm never surprised when things fail to work when I put them in the sort of box I generate here. So, but yeah, I think it would be very selfish of it not to work in that lovely box. Yeah, I saw the CNC video, absolutely superb, as I think we all said at the time. And someone asked on the stream how long it took to cut. I don't know if you've had a chance to answer that yet. Yeah, I was wondering.
My Ryde still seems to take a long while to get video on my own signal. Right, okay, so a couple of comments. Gareth, rather than messing around with old mechanical things, you need to have a look at the K3NG Arduino rotator. Definitely worth looking at. Give you all sorts of features you don't get on the standard Yaesu type rotators, including RS232 or PC control. So then you can run programs like PST rotator. That's right. Yeah. So that's definitely worth looking at. And Gareth, tripods. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Gareth a couple of months ago, and it's clear that there are surveyors tripods around, and you can buy them second-hand on eBay for sort of 30 quid up. And what I said to Gareth is we really need a pan and tilt head reproducible design for those. With locking, and the more we do microwaves, the ability to lock. I mean, this one behind me is amazing. It's my main go-to tripod. Cameras, I won't bother around messing around, but it's got locking on pan and on tilt, and that really is. That's a superb tripod. It's not particularly calibrated, but it's just got exactly the right sort of feel and fluid to it. So yeah, that's really what we need. You know, if we could have a reproducible design, and if you can buy the tripods for 30, 40, 50 quid or whatever they are, then you know, a nice head to go on that really makes them very, very useful. So that's my plug for that. Just back to the test we did on Monday. This was Dave G4FRE on Bloringe. How's that for a site, Bernie? I think it's about 450 meters above. I think it's about 1,500 feet above. And yes, actually that is a surveyor's tripod as well, I think, isn't it, Dave? But yeah, that's the other end of what we were doing. And the pictures, that was which one was that? That was me on 47 gigs. He received me with 4 dB MER, and I received him on 47 gigs, and I mean, I think you know, you can't particularly see it on there, of course, but he was a bit stronger. And that's my Langston Portsdown combo that I use for all of my portable work. I don't take a Yaesu rig out anymore. And just quickly, just to give you an idea of what it sounded like. So this was Gareth. Was this the one? I think it is. This was Gareth on, no it wasn't, it was Dave, G4FRE on narrowband FM on 76 gigahertz, and this is over a 75 kilometre path on 76 gigahertz. Much better. Yeah, so that's what Dave sounded like on 76 gigs. and that shows the Portsdown. Stroke Langston combo, and that really is a really useful tool. So there we go. I think that's all from me tonight, unless there's anything on the chat. I remember ACE and NNS going to Hackpen to work Blorenge on 47. Yeah, there is a path from Swindon, Hackpen to Blorenge. It's actually not quite line of sight. It doesn't go particularly well on 76 gigs. We were there about a month ago, trying to do TV. It's 93k, and yeah, I mean 47 gigs was pretty strong. These microwave bands that don't go around corners or don't a line of sight, it isn't quite true. They really do work phenomenally well when you get a good path and reasonable equipment. So yeah, great fun to be had. And I'll hand it over to Rob. What power on 76 gigs? So my end was using one of these horns, these microwave horns. I've got a picture of it here somewhere if anybody's interested. I close that one and bring in does that one show it? Sort of. Yeah. So at my end, I'm down. So over here on the corner there, on the left hand side, is 6 gig receive stuff. Dave runs QRO on 76. Yeah, we had complete rain fade. It just dropped out completely at one point. I forget what power you were running. Probably a couple of 100 milliwatts, weren't you, Dave? Whereas I'm only running about 5 milliwatts, so it makes life a bit harder that way. Anyway, there we go. Round two, whoever was next. Rob. So Rob is now going to talk about the other end of the spectrum and probably some 8 kilohertz. M0DTS. I like the way you say it's 8.7 kilohertz. Yes. M0DTS, G, HET, Z and the BATC Net.
Yeah, it's all about precision, though. All about the precision on 8 kilohertz. It really is. If you don't know where to look, you'll not see the signal. That's the thing. Excuse me. Yeah, 8.270. Hang on, I can't even remember myself what frequency I'm on now. Oh dear. It's that bad. But anyway, if I go to, bear with us, desktop, that one, let's just make sure that's coming through. Yeah, it is. Now you should just be able to make out signal there. So this is the web receiver as such, not a receiver, web plotter, or what you would kind of expect as. So this is the receiver at Todd Morden, which is in IO83, I think. It's just over the Pennines anyway. It's 100 kilometers, and he's basically lives out of the way, and he's got 2 big loop antennas at 90 degrees to each other up on the hills out the back of his house on another farm, like some farm fields, and got loads of cabling running back to the house and everything. He's ran this system for probably like 15 years or something now, and he's kind of like the VLF extreme DX guy in the UK sort of thing for these really low ones anyway. He doesn't do any transmitting, he just does receiving. But this web page basically shows anything that's going. And you see them two signals there. That's my signal on both occasions, yesterday and today. And that's basically that. The plot there is signal to noise. Now if I go to the reality, that's the reality. I'll just see whether that's actually coming through properly on the street, on the picture. Yeah, you can still see it. So my signal's buried in there and in there, and the noisy areas, which are brighter, are the evening time. So that there is like 4 or 5 o'clock on an evening, and that point there is about 5 o'clock on a morning, and then in between there you've got kind of like a quieter spell, which is the optimum time on 8 kilohertz. And basically it's all just atmospherics, so most of like your thunderstorms and things like that you get on an evening, after later or afternoon, evening time, and then it fizzles out overnight. So so yeah, basically that's it. So but those signals there that I've been transmitting, they were directed east and west today and yesterday, because I've been transmitting, well, doing some tests, and Clive G4XAT, he's over in Darlington, which is about 17 kilometers to the west of me, and we've been doing a few tests trying to get signals across between us. And the first time he did receive us, he was using a rather large loop antenna, which consisted of his inverted L for top band, which he turned to try and receive with a preamp on there, which didn't work. We couldn't receive any signal. But he switched. We built some preamps designed by M0BMU, I think, a little while ago. And they've also got 2 options, like a wide mode for 0 to 20, 30 kilohertz, and then there's also a narrowband filter section in there, which is tuned to 8 kilohertz. So all the tests we've done so far were with his receiving preamp set to the wide mode. So we switched it to the narrow, and sure enough, the signal started appearing. Really weak, like 10 over the noise in 700 microhertz or something like that. But yeah, pretty weak anyway. So anyway, yesterday and today he's been testing a small loop antenna, which is only 1 meter square, but about 100 turns, and brought to resonance on 8 kilohertz. And yesterday's test, the loop was actually side on, which is basically in a null, and we could still detect it, but really weak. But today he'd actually turned it to station, and there was quite a good trace on there. So if I find this, I'll bring this up. Apologies for it just being on an email here, but I'll just shift that off there. Is that actually coming through? I'll just make sure. Oh yeah, it was. Okay, so on the right hand side over here, apologies for it being really small anyway, but that's the night time, noisy time. And then that's the daytime, and that's my signal, which is probably same sort of order, maybe 8-10 dB over the noise in 700 microhertz. That was the signal yesterday. You might not be able to see that, but there is a little line running across there, which is yesterday's, where the loop was actually in a null to me. So the small loop antenna does actually make it through. So that's been the test anyway. I didn't actually. So that is that running the earth antenna in a north-south configuration, so you can see the signal is stronger Modern is towards the southwest from here. So if I go to signal to noise ratio mode, you can see it's quite a strong signal. I think the peak is minus 17 dB, not 2.5 kilohertz, 1 hertz. Got to remember that. So that's it. No, precision is the key. So that is it. This is in hertz, 8,270 hertz, 0.011675 ish is where you need to be if you want to detect me. So it'd be nice if someone else would have a go at that. Anyway, let's just quickly check the chart. Working someone less than a wavelength away. Not quite, but yeah, 35 kilometers. Yeah, that's about right. Rotating. I know. John's been trying very hard to receive me, but I need to make a bit more effort this end and put a bigger length of wire out. But I am working on it, and it is going to happen at some point. So go on to that. I've still got them 80 gigahertz E-band data transceivers, null. So at some point I'm going to get 2 of them working, because they work on opposite frequencies. So you get a pair of transceivers that talk to each other. 75 to 80 and 80 to 85 is like your 2 slots on them anyway. So it's like a low band, high band. But, to be able to get them to work sort of working on the same frequency, it needs a lot of metal work doing to actually utilize it that way. So a one-way link is going to be doable. They'll do about 25 milliwatts, I think, something like that. I'm not sure about CW, but they'll do about 25 milliwatts, I think. And the noise figure, I think, is somewhere in the region of about 8 dB, something like that. Be at the we can feed 10. There's a lot of work involved to get them actually running where I want to use them and things, but yeah, potential. But I'll find someone else to work. I could work myself. I've done that 10 kilometers on 122 gigs, but nothing else. Right, anyway, that was a long enough over.
Thank you, Nigel. That was good. And on 2/3 this time, so a bit more bandwidth. All okay. Much stronger signal. And yeah, really interesting net. Thank you everyone for doing that. Just to sign off, really. I was just looking through, and I think we had 10 people on the net, or was it 11? Not sure what happened to Gunter, but good to see the rest of you. With that, I think sign off on the BATC Net. Of course, thanks to AMSAT DL and to Qatar and the Qatari Amateur Radio Society for giving us the transponder to allow us to do this. It's been a huge revelation in terms of DATV, and it's really, really good to be able to see what everybody's doing. Lots of people are doing really interesting stuff, and it's so much better to be able to see what you're doing. So really, really good. I understand Gareth's going to now show us something afterwards, so looking forward to seeing this rotating system, and catch you all next week hopefully. So 7th everyone, all the best. G0MJW signing off.
Right, okay, just a quickie. This is the concept, okay, so we've got a level bubble, one of those caravan levelling bubbles on the top, a piece of plywood. On the bottom we have a spacer, and then a Lazy Susan, and then a brake disc 3D printed, which is bolted to the bottom of the Lazy Susan, and then on the side there's a little brake pad which is loaded up with a piece of cork, and you can adjust the brake tension with a screwdriver, so there's a nice sort of damping effect on that. Trapped inside there is a 14mm nut rethreaded to 5/8 Whitworth, which is the thread on the surveyor's tripod thing, and that's a nice tight fit. Okay, so that's your damped azimuth. Now for elevation, Noel said about plus or minus 5 degrees would work. So my idea is piano hinge along here. This is not necessarily this height, but a piece of wood there with a piano hinge on it. Another piece of wood on here which you fit your dish to. Couple of springs. Okay, so it can go up and down, and then in the middle of that a cam on a peg with a lever on it. So as you rotate the cam, it will allow the springs to raise this up or down. So I reckon you can peak it up that way, wiggle the cam, peak it up that way, Bob's your uncle. Not exactly patent pending, but fairly easy to do. So thoughts welcome on the chat, or come back, whatever, doesn't matter. Thanks for the net, and see you next time further down. Hopefully people will be on at the weekend. Noel, if you want to try 70 sems any time, once this wind passes I'll put up the 70 sems beam, and also Rob, I hope to be able to put up a very big signal on 13 sems at least. So there we are. I don't claim any originality for that Lazy Susan. It came from a microwave newsletter idea, but I do claim some originality for the top fiddly bit and the brake and stuff. It's got to be cheap. That's the idea. I mean, the beauty of the 3D printing is if you get your CAD right, the thing comes out right. And the brake pad idea, it's just a way of damping it. You know, you want to be able to hold it, but you want to be able to move it. So there we are. Okay, I'll shut up and wish you all well. 7-3s all, thanks to the chat and all the stuff from G4XAT. Cheers.